Hey, Brain!
Help me!
We're here to come up with the next phony baloney crisis to put Americans back where they belong, and we should go with a good old-fashioned public health scare.
Yeah.
Help me!
Just pass me the trophies and we'll pull you out.
Pass!
These were Shaq's.
Health scare.
Yeah.
A new disease. No one's immune. It's like the summer of the shark, except instead of a shark, it's an epidemic. And instead of summer, it's all the time.
That is smoke!
Now, I hate to be the guy who derails what everybody else
He
loves.
loves being that guy.
But, Janice, we do have standards. This can't be a made-up disease. The only moral thing to do is release a deadly virus into the general public.
Welcome to the 7th Military Wild Games here in Wuhan, China.
Over the course of 10 days, 9,308 military athletes, including 67 world and Olympic champions from 109 countries, are participating across 27 different sports in the host city of Wuhan, central China's Hubei province.
So what does it mean for China to host this global sporting event? And what's unique about these games?
This is General William Sullivan with an emergency message. I'm speaking to you from a CDC clean zone. Outbreak of the deadly Pandora virus is spreading rapidly. Unprecedented threat requires a worldwide quarantine. All ships must remain at sea until further. Humanity must endure.
Chillingly plausible indeed, Joe Morgenstern of the Wall Street Journal.
Tonight's Fact or Fiction, we're looking into another claim of a coronavirus prediction in pop culture. The claim this time is that the 1981 Dean Koontz book, The Eyes of Darkness, actually predicted the outbreak. This one's only partially true. The paperback edition of the novel, released in 2008, includes a biological weapon called Wuhan 400. It's certainly a coincidence, but Wuhan 400 is a human-made weapon with a 100% fatality rate and a 4-hour incubation period. And in other iterations of the book, the weapon was made in Russia and is called Gorky 400.
The scenario now advances 3 weeks to November 7th, 2019, to the second meeting of the Pandemic Emergency Board.
Thank you all for reconvening on short notice. Let's get an update on the pandemic.
Very short notice.
Dr. Rivers.
In the last 3 weeks, we've seen a significant escalation of the pandemic. Previous projections appear to have been accurate. We've gone from about 35,000 cases to more than 260,000 estimated cases, with 13,000 deaths. This may be an underestimate. We know that there is a good deal of underreporting due to lack of surveillance in many parts of the world. The greatest number of reported cases are still in South America, where the pandemic started, but the number of countries affected has risen from 8 to 23 across the Americas, Africa, the Middle East, Europe, and Asia. We expect the spread will continue to accelerate as we have more outbreaks. We project that in 1 month, we could see upwards of 2 million cases and over 100,000 deaths. And in 3 months, there could be as many as 20 million cases and 1.6 million deaths. The markets are reacting negatively to these projections, with some markets now in the red for the year.
Thank you, Dr. Rivers. All right, we want to show you the latest news on the impacts of the pandemic on trade and travel, which will be the focus of this discussion.
In addition to global public health crisis, CAPS is creating havoc with the trade and travel industries. The frightening public health toll of CAPS continues to mount. Patients are overwhelming healthcare facilities around the world, including many of the makeshift triage and temporary care facilities. People are avoiding public spaces out of fear of infection and in compliance with public health recommendations. This has had a dramatic effect on the retail and service sectors. Businesses of all kinds are struggling to operate, let alone provide basic services as their workers have fallen sick or refuse to come to work. Some companies have allowed telecommuting, but for most businesses and employees, this is not an option. Public health agencies have issued travel advisories, while some countries have banned travel from the worst affected areas. As a result, the travel sector is taking a huge hit. Travel bookings are down 45%, and many flights have been canceled. A ripple effect is racing through the service sector. Governments that rely on travel and tourism as a large part of their economies are being hit particularly hard. Consumer confidence has fallen dramatically, and people are delaying or canceling discretionary purchases. As a result, manufacturers are scaling back production on many goods. On the other hand, staples like food and medicine are being hoarded. Mandated border closures and trade restrictions are creating severe localized shortages. The Purchasing Managers' Index suffered its sharpest decline in 50 years, a leading indicator that markets are preparing for a prolonged period of economic disruption. In some regions, politicians are adding to the noise and confusion through social media. Ban all goods and travel from infected countries, and boycott companies that spread disease are common Twitter refrains often led by public figures. It's safe to say we face a tough dilemma. The movement of people may facilitate the spread of caps, but interruptions to travel and trade may have economic consequences that are just as bad.
And to give us more detail on these issues before our discussion, Lucia Mullen.
CAPS is spreading, and it's largely due to the movement of people. Individuals from affected regions traveling to unaffected areas, and susceptible people traveling to affected areas and getting sick. Travel poses real health risks, both of spreading the disease and of travelers getting sick. In fact, many travelers to affected regions have gotten sick, and some have died. Many countries have issued travel advisories for affected parts of South America. Additionally, politicians in a number of countries have called for bans on all travel and imports from affected countries. A few countries have actually banned all inbound travel and some trade from those countries. The total number of reported cases is currently about 30 times the total we saw with SARS.
Worthless.
Hey guys, can you believe how awesome this is? If it wasn't for this virus thing, we'd all be back at our old sucky lives. And instead, you're here, where you can be lovey-dovey all the time. Come on, kiss! Kiss!